Hey, and welcome into this video. There was no video last week as I was not home and forgot to schedule video. In this video we'll be looking at the top coat of paint and how it will bond to the primer, and we will prepare the hub for paint. In the next video we'll be cleaning up the area behind the brake drum. We'll be painting the brake drum and refurbishing the brake drum. After that, and when the rim is painted, we can go ahead and put everything back on there and also lubricate everything and after that we will start by changing the oils in the diffs and stuff like that. In the meantime, you've been watching me mixing up the two-component paint. It's a two-component paint that's based on a hardener and a base paint that contains the color, and you'll get the very strong painted layer. Right, so before we can paint the surface, I'll just give it a light sand so that it's a bit roughened, so the paint will stick better to it. I will get some cloth, some degreaser, so yeah, I'll probably go with the angle grinder manual sanding because this is very smooth, and here you can still see the original paint coming through after sanding. So yeah, all right. So I will only do one more step, and that is some isopropyl alcohol, just to get rid of any imperfections. This is now completely dry, so now I can get my paint, stir it around briefly, and we'll start putting the paint on here. Alright, so that's the first coat done. I'll just let this dry and then come back for another coat. So it has been a few days and the paint is now fully cured. And as you can see, it's a huge difference of what it was before and what it is now. It's nice and shiny and black, and it's very hard. So what I want to do is I want to test, because it was just a test. I really like the texture, how it came out with the manual sanding and the manual metal brushes. So what I want to do is I want to test with the screwdriver how well it bonded with the primer. Because like this is a mixing cup that I used, and the paint just detached from it, so it's very nice that that I can reuse it, but I want to make sure that the paint actually bonds well with the primer. I think it does, but there's only one way to find out, and that's violence. So I'll just see if I can scratch it right here. Yeah, I can scratch it, but and then the primer comes off with the paint, so it's not detaching from the primer, which is very good. And the primer takes away more of the paint. So yeah, I will just touch that up a bit when I have the time. I also tried to just paint over the rust
and it seems to work, but that's not the approach I want to do. I want to do it properly with primer and make sure that it's free of contaminants. So yeah, looks a bit foolish to do this, but I just want to make sure that it properly attaches. And I cannot get the paint off without the primer, so they chemically bond it, which is a good thing. So this is a good approach to do it. Yeah, so I did 2 coats here, and that seems to be enough. Maybe in some cases I need to do a 3rd coat, but 2 coats seems to be working very well, and I've not used a lot of paint. Like, I mixed way too much, as you can see. Yeah, I also bought some extra paint for the brake drum, which is this paint. It's a Rust-Oleum paint that can go up to 750 degrees because the brake drums can get warm. So I don't want to use the regular paint. I want to use something that's robust. It is black, so it might be a little bit different color than this one, but at least it's not visible as well. Like, the rim is over it and stuff like that. So that will be 100% okay to do. I use these paints and the primer for the rim of the tire, and the inside of the wheel arches and stuff like that. So what I continue with is to put some primer on some stuff. So the first thing that I want to do is to prime and refurbish the hub on the truck. So I want to clean up this, because this is quite rusty right now. So I will just take some sandpaper, remove the rust, and put some protective oil on it. I already put the protective oil on this part right here. In Swedish it's called olja. And as you can see, it's cleaned it up very, very nicely. And I want to do the same here. So it's basically a protective oil for metal. And then I want to put this block in the primer so that it can be painted again. And I will do the same with the back piece, but the back piece will be the high temperature, just in case it gets warm. So yeah, we'll do that. All right, so I got my trusty little brush, and I got 240 and 180 grit sandpaper, with which I will polish the metal a bit more. But first I will remove most of it with the brush, and then I will spray some rust remover on it, and yeah, use some sandpaper after it, then use some rust remover again, and then some protective oils, so that this is nice and smooth again. And I will do the same for this side right here, and the bolts a bit. And then I will yeah, prepare this surface right here. So I will just brush like all the loose stuff away like this. As you can see, there was a lot of loose stuff there. And then I will use sandpaper to make it a bit smoother. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so now the entire rim is rust free, and I put on the protective oil. So what I'll do right now is I will prepare this one for painting. So I'll remove the bolts, and I will brush off all of the loose paint, and then I will put it in the primer. Yeah, so let's get started. Alright, well, as you can see, I removed all of the loose paint. So tomorrow I'll use sandpaper to sand it all down, and I will remove these two bolts. I brought the wrenches back home, so I need to bring them back. And then I will flip it up, so I will put this side up. I will remove the bolt after I've sanded, and then I can paint the primer around the hole. And then when the primer is dry, I can screw the nut back on. Yeah, and then after primer, it will be light sanding, cleaning again, and then it's the top coat. And I'll do 2 layers of primer, and the primer is also a rust preventative, so it will also prevent rust. Now I will do the same here. Like, this is getting a bit rusty, so I'll just put down some of the oil right here, protective oil, like I did here, and then the back side will be painted with the high temperature paint, and the drum itself as well. This will be regular paint, and then the rim will be regular paint as well. And then the back here, I will clean it up as well. This will get the same color as this one. This will get the 2 component paint. I will remove the bolts and screw it, take it down, take it outside, clean it up, and the underside right here, that will actually be like a rust coat, because there's so much rust on the bottom here that it's just not feasible to get rid of it all. So I'll use some paint that will convert it, because it will be out of sight anyways. So yeah, so then this whole area will be done, and I will move on to the next wheel and do the same there. On the next wheel, we'll also change out the tire, because this is the old tire.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or leave a comment to leave some feedback. See you in the next one.